Tonight, lawyers warn that despite arrest and detention of former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta in the USA, there is still a long road ahead for any possibility of him being brought to Ghana to face criminal charges.
We can try to negotiate, through diplomatic channels, that they should do a simple deportation. But it won't be that easy. Let's not forget, Ofori-Atta has investments in the US.
We have details, as his lawyers say, they are using every means available to defend the former finance minister after applying to extend his stay in the USA.
In consultation with the medical team, we've been advised to remain and still continue with the recuperative stage of the procedure attended on him.
Plus, the United States government reiterates President Trump's priority to crack down on what they term as abuse of immigration laws.
So we're deporting them back home to Ghana. And that is broadly, or any country, right? They've come to our country. They may have violated an immigration law. They've stayed illegally. They may have committed a crime and served their time and now are being sent home because they're no longer have valid status as a non-immigrant in the United States.
We have details here on Top Story, brought to you always by Telecel, Connecting Energies, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. Enjoy Holy Sleep, and also by Short Pension Trust. Into the future with you. Well, former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is still stuck in a detention center in the U.S., while his lawyers make frantic efforts to get him released and keep him in the U.S. on what they describe as medical grounds. There's currently a pending extradition request from Ghana to have the former Finance Minister extradited to Ghana over allegations of corruption. Some legal practitioners are warning that despite his arrest and detention over immigration issues in the USA, there's still a long road ahead for any chance that former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta will be brought to Ghana to face criminal charges. But even before Ken Ofori-Atta will be brought to Ghana, the process unravels itself. The former Finance Minister's legal troubles has deepened and is caught in the US's crackdown on illegal immigration overstays. We'll hear from some of these lawyers soon, but first, listen to member of the legal team of Ken Ofori-Atta, who says Ken Ofori-Atta has applied to have a stay in the USA extended on medical grounds.
To be of any significant concern to the legal team, because what has occasioned is detention, so to speak, is a purely immigration matter, which is common and routine. Indeed, for whatever reason, if your visa stay or period is about to lapse, and you have reasonable belief that you will have to remain in the jurisdiction of the country for an extended period, you are allowed, as it were, put in a petition for your immigration status to be evaluated and determined. So it is customary with the U.S. immigration procedures and practices and processes. So it is nothing new. It is nothing new. So yes, the petition has been lodged with the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which is popularly known as the ICE, and they are reviewing the petition. In fact, the counterpart legal team, our counterpart legal team in the United States,
right,
the team that our Attorney General and leader of the bar has described as a very experienced and cracked legal code is working on the petition. And in the fullness of time, a determination will be made one way or the other, based solely on the merit of the petition. So there is nothing to be worried about. Absolutely nothing to be worried.
Well, private legal practitioner Martin Pebu says even though Ghana can use diplomatic means to have the former finance minister promptly deported, it will involve a very complex process.
We can try to negotiate, through diplomatic channels, that they should do a simple deportation. But it won't be that easy. Let's not forget, Ofori-Atta has investments in the U.S. And the U.S. economy thrives on foreign investment. So it's not a straight or cut and dry matter. It's a very complex one. So, yes, we can ask government to try to negotiate that he should be deported, but it's far more complex than that.
And we're also just learning that Mr. Ofori-Atta has applied for permanent residency in the U.S. and he's made this application at the same time he and his family were claiming he will return to Ghana after his treatment. How does this play in all of this?
Mami, I'm not surprised at all. Actually, 2 months ago, I was given this information that he had applied for permanent residence. And I said it on some news channels and radio stations. Yeah, I was asked about my source and I declined. So I'm happy that Joy FM, you have also independently corroborated that fact. So I was told 2 months ago, or a little over 2 months ago, that that's what he was up to. And you see, it tells you, that's why we still come back to the OSP allowing Ofori-Atta to leave this country, fala without any sureties, etc. It was clear that having allowed him to go like that without any bail and without surety, these are the things that will happen. And that's how some of us are even suspecting that it was deliberate so that he will have more time to be able to apply for this permanent residence, etc. So the more this case, travels and unravels, then the more we ask questions of Kisi Ejabe and how he allowed Ofori-Atta to escape Ghana.
So that's, legal practitioner Martin Pebu there. Let me go onto the phone lines now and speak to the legal team of Ken Ofori-Atta. Frank Davis is a leading member of that particular team, and he joins us on the phone lines now. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining. Now, 8:39 after 5 p.m. here in Ghana. Any latest from the former finance minister's camp?
Any what?
Any latest?
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Any latest information you are gathering from there as to how things are progressing?
Good evening once again to your cherished listeners and esteemed viewers. The lawyers are working, our counterpart lawyers in the states are working hand in hand with the Immigration and Customs Enforcement to have his petition determined.
Why is he seeking a permanent residency in the USA?
Well, I will not be drawn into that conversation. Those who have been making the claims should speak to it. So far as I'm concerned, we are dealing with a matter which is currently being interrogated. I will, for the purposes of my services to my clients, stick to that. Those who are going around fanning issues of him having applied for permanent residence should be called to speak to the matter. I don't engage myself in highfalutin, unnecessary and unsubstantiated matters. I will stick to the conversation I'm having with you, and that has to do with the petition he has put for an extension of his immigration status in America.
Okay, so what is calling for that extension?
Well, we are all conversant and aware of the notorious fact that Ken Ofori-Atta left this jurisdiction. And this prejudicial comments that people make, I just listened to Martin Pebu
that the OSP allowed him to leave the country, whatever that English means. I don't understand. Ken Ofori-Atta left here on notice to the chief of staff. Nobody else than the chief of staff. So when people make those casual remarks, I am coming from lawyers, I find it very, very, very disappointing. Ken Ofori-Atta left here, and then he gave notice that he was going for a medical procedure. That one has been done, and if we all know what he is suffering from, it is not easy. After that, you have to go through a period of recuperation, and that is exactly what he is doing. So he is in consultation, constant consultation with his medical team, and if they have advised that the state at which they are, it is imperative for him to continue to remain in the state so that they can attend to him. What is exactly wrong with that? What is exactly wrong with that? Why? Because he is a person of suspect or a supposed accused person, his fundamental human rights and liberties are curtailed? Is that what we want to be told as Ghanaians? That as a Ghanaian, he can't seek medical treatment outside this country? Of course, Ken Ofori-Atta's visa period lapses next month on the 14th of February, as you are aware. Today is the 7th of January. If for one reason or the other he thinks, based upon consultation with his doctors, that he has to remain in the state for a further period for him to be attended to, it is imperative that he activates the processes that will guarantee him the stay in America. And that is exactly what he has done. And this is a routine, customary, common, normal practice in every jurisdiction of this world. It's not only in America. If you visit the country, and when you are supposed to leave, something occasions, and you are not able to leave, you apply to continue to remain there. What is so strange about this? So yes, he has applied for his stay to be extended. And the petition is with the ICE. They will determine it, and in the fullness of time, we will all know whether he has merit in his petition or not. So people should not be casting all kinds of aspersions and veiled innuendos and insinuations as if he is doing something so extraordinary. Come on, please. Let us stick to the matters and discuss them as they are. Ken Ofori-Atta has rights. He has fundamental rights as a Ghanaian and as a human being. And those rights should be respected and protected.
When was he supposed to have left the U.S.?
I just told you that his visa expires on or before the 14th of February.
The reason I ask this question is because we are not in February yet. So why is he in the ICI detention if his visa is yet to expire?
Well, it is a normal procedure they adopt. If you put in the petition, before they determine the petition, they would put you in a facility, awaiting the determination.
Really?
That discretion and decision is on mine.
Wow, because the education some people have been giving is that if I'm applying for extension of my visa, why put me in a detention center as though I've overstayed?
And I'm saying that determination and discretion does not lie with me. It lies with the ICE. And I can't, for any reason, interrogate that determination or decision that they have made. Our counterpart lawyers will deal with that matter, and they are dealing with it.
But during the COVID era, when he was the finance minister, he wasn't well as well. He was able to seek medical attention outside, but still returned to continue his work. How are the two situations different?
The circumstances of that ailment is different. I believe we all knew that he went in the first instance on COVID-related matters. It's in the public domain. And this time around, he suffered a procedure which he suffered an ailment which required a procedure which he has gone through. He was diagnosed with prostate cancer, which you also know. So the circumstances are different. So don't let us link the two. maybe it was permissible for him to come after the COVID treatment. But this time around, he has to stay for a further period. Is it a crime?
It's not a crime, but people say there are other people who have same conditions but do travel in and out. Why is his case different that even in recuperating he cannot come a day or two a week to avail himself to the authorities and go back?
Kojo, the name is Kojo.
Yes, please, sir. Yes.
Kojo,
Boss.
you can suffer malaria, typhoid, whatever, jaundice, whatever. Two of you can be suffering at the same time. One person will be discharged from hospital. You will still remain there. Is that not normal?
Within the
Is that not normal? When people just speak out of context, that why did Ken Ofori-Atta not make himself available through permissible legal means for him to be interrogated and a statement obtained from him? Did he not? Was it not the OSP who was so fastidious and fixated that he wants to see him in this jurisdiction by all means? So the man said, I am prepared to avail myself. Let us have a video conferencing and do whatever you want to do with me on video. Why? Would that not be the same Ken Ofori-Atta speaking? Even in our law courts, there are procedures for that. We do video conferencing. Evidence is taken for witnesses who are outside this country. Why, in this age of technology? You see, you people don't interrogate those matters. All you are interested in are these questions. You don't interrogate these matters.
Well, we do, but
no. With the Legal and Mutual Assistance Act, you can do these things. And the extradition, the Electronic Transition Act is also there. It makes provision for all of this. So if the OSP was not prepared to take liberty of those legally permissible means, and the man is out of the country, should we willingly, by all means, come to this country when his doctors are telling him otherwise? Is that what you want to suggest?
I mean, we spoke to an immigration officer from the U.S.
Yeah.
And he says those in detention are abusing their visa, permissions, and that's why they are keeping them there to then deport them to their home countries. How is Ofori-Atta's case different when he's being kept in the same facility?
That immigration officer who spoke to you will have to answer. I am speaking to what I know. So the immigration officer who spoke to you should answer. I will not answer for him. I am speaking to you as to what I know. That he has a petition which is pending, and our counterpart lawyers in the States are working with ICE for a determination of that matter. That immigration officer maybe knows something more than I do, but I can only stick to my little knowledge, and limited as it were, on the matter.
Okay. So as we speak, we do not know when the former finance minister will avail himself in the jurisdiction.
Oh, I can't tell you that, Kojo. I can't. I am not in a position to do that. I am not a speculative lawyer. Neither am I a clever. So I'll wait for the process to be determined. And then when in the fullness of time they make a decision, the Ghanaians will know. You be the first. You be the first person I'll speak to.
So it is not as people say that he is afraid he will be detained when he comes.
Afraid of what?
Of being detained.
In the streets of Accra before he left.
That was during the presidency of his government.
He's afraid of what? He'll be afraid that when he comes, what?
He will be detained.
So back in Ofori-Atta was here when the new government took office.
But he left when his government was still in charge.
Yeah, he left when his government was in charge. He came back. When he was leaving again, his government was out of office.
When did he come back?
When did he come back?
Yes.
Why? When he went for the COVID treatment, he didn't come back.
Oh, he came back. But in January, when he was leaving, the MPP was still in power.
The MPP was still in power.
Yes.
Yes, so that is why extradition processes have been activated. Is that not also a legal remedy? He left with notice. So if the circumstances of his stay are suggestive of the fact that he can't come back to the country, he will stay where he is. Processes have been activated. Why are those processes follow? That matter will also be determined as to whether he should be extradited or not. It's another kettle of fish.
Okay.
We are not dealing with a purely immigration matter. Purely immigration matter. Strictly and solely for the purpose of a determination of it. Immigration status.
Do you perchance know how long you stay in the detention center for?
Kojo Brace.
Oh, I'm only trying to get some.
You want to pass through my head?
No, I'm not.
And get to my leg?
No.
I just told you that I'm not a clairvoyant. I'm not a speculative lawyer. I can only wait for that determination to be made.
I thought
and
that
because they are fighting it.
Because so I was thinking that you know from them when it is likely that he will be out of detention.
That are what?
That you know from them, your counterpart lawyers there, when he is likely to be out of the detention center.
Oh, I don't know that. At least they have not educated me on that.
All right. I'm grateful to you, Frank Davis, for your time here on our show. He is a member of the legal team of Ken Ofori-Atta. In a related development, the United States government says the deportation of illegal immigrants from USA soil remains a priority for President Donald Trump. The caution comes in the wake of the increasing rhetoric by U.S. President that the country's migration system is being abused by illegal immigrants to the United States. Speaker, at an earlier news conference on his first visit to Ghana, Deputy Assistant Secretary for West Africa in the U.S. Department, William B. Stevens, noted that President Trump is keen on deporting persons who abuse the immigration laws of the country.
But broadly, when you say deportations, that's talking about people from Ghana who have been in America who are now being sent back to Ghana. So we're deporting them back home to Ghana. And that is broadly, or any country, right? They've come to our country. They may have violated an immigration law. They've stayed illegally. They may have committed a crime and served their time and now are being sent home because they're no longer have valid status as a non-immigrant in the United States. So that's that. Then you have these people who have come to the United States and have abused the migration system, but have, for some reason or another, an inability to go home to their home country. And that is, and then finally we have, and I don't believe this applies in Ghana, but we have people who are coming to the United States to seek refugee status. And essentially, we're asking for some countries around the world to say, well, we know that the United States doesn't have room at the moment for these refugees. Would you be willing to go to? And then we have entered into agreements with countries around the world where people can go as what's called a safe third country agreement. And we have seen President Trump's made it very clear that people have been abusing our migration system for many, many years, to the point where we have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people in the United States illegally. And that's what this is about. It's about the president's priority and why we have focused on it around the world in protecting our borders and enforcing our laws. And we're grateful to our partners who have helped us do that.
All right, so let's bring in human rights lawyer and professor of international law, Professor Kojo Brace. Prof, I'm grateful to you for joining us. I mean, we are being told by his lawyers that this is a routine exercise that the U.S. authorities are doing in the process to work on his application for his visa to be extended. From where you sit and what you do know, what do you think is happening?
Thanks for having me. It's a little bit difficult to give a direct answer because we don't have all the facts. But the procedure is that, and the law, the U.S. immigration law, is that you can apply for an extension of your stay. That is allowed. But you don't wait until you are arrested and detained before you apply for the extension. So that is the rule number one. And then the other point is that normally, if you have a visa that has not expired you have the right, the legitimate right to stay in the country until the visa has expired, unless you are involved in some criminality, and or whether the information you provided to obtain the visa to travel to the U.S. was acquired. There's some information which were false and which therefore had not been detected. That can lead to the invalidation of your visa, the visa, and then you may be deported back to your country, or because of national security issues and so on. So the U.S. immigration laws outline these factors, which may lead to the automatic invalidation of a visa. So, not knowing all the facts, we cannot tell what prompted the U.S. to arrest and detain Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, awaiting deportation. Now, with regard to where he is now, the procedure, the possibility of him being deported to Ghana is very, very high. Usually, people don't go to detention and come back easily. But of course, there are certain procedures that he can take which may prolong his stay, appeals and so on. He can do that. But we also need to take into account the fact that the ICE has been given some sort of sweeping powers, which makes them to be kind of above the law, because Trump's immigration policies seem to adopt a tone that places the U.S. in the interest of the U.S. over and above even the human rights of immigrants in that country. So we don't know what may have prompted his arrest, but there is something that we don't know about why he has been arrested, because according to the information that we have, the visa has not expired yet.
But I mean, all of this effort to get him here is for him to account for his stewardship. His lawyer says he proposed that he could be available electronically. I mean, do we necessarily need him here to help make the case against him?
Well, first of all, let me clarify this.
Okay.
The detention of Ken Ofori-Atta is not related to the extradition.
Yes, of course. We know that, yes.
Okay, right. So, yes. So now coming back to the question that you are asking, yes, that is allowed by the laws of Ghana now, the procedures in the court, where you can interview a person, do a conference call or something, and then interview a person and gather some necessary information based on which you may conclude that you've gathered enough evidence, you have established in the prosecution's own case, a prima facie case, which should lead to some charges being preferred against the person. So that is one possibility that the AG is available to the AG to use.
Mm. All right, but as in all of this, I mean, you say that it will be difficult for him to get out of this because you don't get to the detention and come out easily. So, from what you're reading, how do you think this will end?
There are different scenarios. One is deportation, which is very, very high. The other is through the appeal process, he may be able to extricate himself out of the hands of ICE. Or it could just simply be that there was a mistake in his arrest, and that having taken him to the detention center, having interviewed him and so on, they can conclude that they had it wrong in arresting him, and therefore he can be released. So different scenarios can play out. But generally, if you are caught in such a situation, I'm not saying he's going to do that, but what people do is, if there is there's a fear of persecution against them, if they should go back to their own countries, they can then apply for refugee status in the U.S.
But I'm just getting the education that it is the video call, for example, is only for witnesses and not the accused persons.
I think it's possible for the accused person, especially during the early parts of the case, or if it has to do with preliminary issues. But mainly witnesses are taken through that process.
Okay, Prof, I'm grateful to you for your time here. Professor Kojo Brace is a professor of international law at the University of Ghana. This has been Top Story brought to you by Telecel, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil, and also by Shield Pension Trust. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Up next is Newsnight.